in the middle of the night or early Friday morning, depending upon where you are in the world. A group of experienced comics professionals get together to examine and instruct about the art form that they love. That's great comic artwork on Comics by Night, Fridays at 5 a.m. Eastern, here on the Indie Comics Network, indiecomicsnetwork.com.
What was that? This is not a charade.
What a crowd, what a crowd. How's everybody doing this morning?
Doing great,
What
man.
a beautiful day, what a beautiful day in the neighborhood, my folks, my friends. So as the title suggests, many of you guys have heard about the strike, the writer's strike. Have you? Have you not?
Yep. Yes, sir.
Yeah, so the writers are striking, and there's word that AI might take over. And so what we're going to do today is I've actually got ChatGPT open right now, and I just asked it to write me a funny monologue for the show this morning. And so it is right now doing the prompt. And so we're going to read the monologue sight unseen to see if AI can actually take our jobs. Let's see if this works.
I mean,
let's see.
it depends on whose job you're talking to. Because with what modern Hollywood is putting out, AI has it in the bag.
Really, you think so? All right.
Yeah.
Well, we'll put it to the test later. Actually, we will. We'll have it write kind of rewrite some stories from some of our guys, and maybe some of these comics are written by AI. That's maybe why they're so bad.
Oh, no. They definitely are.
Yeah.
They
Have
definitely
been
are.
for about the last couple of years, yeah.
Drawn.
All right, guys.
too.
So are you ready for this? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Nerd Bacon, the only morning show where we celebrate the nerdiest things in life while chomping on crispy bacon. Today I'm feeling particularly geeky, so I'm dressed up as Mario. That's right, folks. I'm wearing a red hat, a blue shirt, and a fake mustache that keeps falling off. But let's not talk about that. Let's talk about video games. I love video games, especially the ones where I get to be a hero. But let's be honest, being a hero in a video game is easy. All you have to do is press some buttons, and you're suddenly saving the world from evil monsters. It's like being a superhero without all the hard work. In fact, I think being a video game hero is so easy that I've decided to become one in real life. I'm going to start small, of course. I'll save a cat from a tree. And then maybe I'll stop a purse snatching. And before you know it, I'll be fighting off giant robots and saving the planet from an alien invasion. But first, I need to practice. I'm thinking of starting with Mario Kart. If I can dodge those pesky banana peels and turtle shells, I'm pretty sure I can handle anything life throws at me. This sucks so far.
Yeah.
And you know what? I do it all.
That was part of the script.
Yeah, this
No, it
sounds
wasn't.
like it was
This
written by
sucks
a
so
woman who
far.
wants to kill you. Yeah, it's just like he's making you feel bad. He's gaslighting you. Like, oh, you feel like a hero. You're pushing the little buttons. That's what to make you feel like a hero. It's like,
And you know what? I'll
It also-
I'll do it all while eating bacon because nothing says hero like a mouthful of crispy, delicious
now it's
bacon.
calling you fat.
It's like fuel for the soul.
You can see
So
how
let-
badly the progressives have gotten into this programming already because
Oh
it's
my gosh.
demeaning the concept of hero.
Yeah,
But my question is, has Mario Brothers sponsored this episode?
Probably. Sony is very happy. Probably a stock owner.
Probably. So let's raise our bacon in a toast to all the nerds out there. You may not be video game heroes in real life, but you're heroes in our hearts, and that's what counts. Thanks for tuning in to Nerd Bacon. Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to go save the princess, or at least try to beat my high score in Super Mario Brothers.
That
Yes.
sounds as demeaning as those old Bud Light commercials. Here's
Yeah,
to
exactly.
you, men of genius.
Men of genius.
That's what it sounds exactly like.
Oh my gosh.
We're out there still fighting the fight, eating bacon and being heroes.
So you tell me, guys, do I get to keep my job?
Yeah, I think
I get to keep my job as writer?
Well, if I was a DC editor, I'd give you your next deadline.
Yeah.
I'll hit it in like 2 seconds. I literally typed the prompt because I didn't want to cheat. So I literally typed the prompt while the rapist was dancing. Yeah. Am I allowed to say the rapist on YouTube? I'm probably gonna get flagged for that.
Yeah,
I mean, you mean therapist.
You know who I
right?
meant. You know who I
You
meant.
mean therapist.
Jello pudding pop. That guy.
Hello, pudding pop. Yeah,
That guy. Whatever his name is. What is his name? Bill Cosby.
Bill
Thank you.
Cosby. Yeah. Dr. Cosby.
Dr.
I thought
Cosby.
you were just trying to say the name, trying to dance around it.
No, I would have danced right over it. Instead, I got to the rapist. I got the pudding pops. I got to everything but his name there. So how's everybody's week going so far?
Well,
Great.
good. I have pain in my hand for some reason.
I can't
but
believe
the
it's
left hand.
Thursday. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
dude,
It's right there. It's right,
Mhm.
right there.
Yeah.
I went out for glorious tacos last night with the fiance.
Nice.
Ooh, very
You
nice.
are.
Tacos and margaritas.
When in doubt, go for tacos. That's a good one.
Tacos.
Taco
Yeah.
Wednesday. Yeah.
Well, I have a nice pork butt for this weekend, so I'm
Ah.
gonna be smoking some pork butt. So something to look forward to.
Pork-
Been working
pork
on a comic book anthology. So yeah, it's been a busy week.
I got a good half dozen pork butts right in my freezer over here.
Oh, nice.
The wife and the family makes tamales.
Oh, nice.
Pork, yeah.
I find it very
Two-day-
funny.
It's a 2-day affair. But
Find it very funny that every Thursday morning at 9
spread
a.m.
the
on the
masa.
button. Ooh, I love masa. But I find it funny that every Thursday morning at 9 a.m. on the button, somebody begins to text me. And it's somebody that usually is watching the show.
Oh,
Like, it's like, wait, don't I see you in the chat? And I can't answer that question right now.
Ooh.
It's funny when that happens to me.
Yeah.
Let's welcome our chat this morning. We got Glenn. Welcome,
Hello,
Glenn
Glenn.
Fleming.
Glenn,
Let's go, Dr. Masks. Retro Elixirs in the house. Welcome. Now I'm hungry.
Yeah.
Of course you're hungry, man. Grey Wolf Graphics in the house. Hail chat. What's up? We've got Agent Zero here. Welcome, my friend. It's great to have you here today. Nicholas Gear's in the house. Howdy, folks. Let me see. We've got the comic book black belt. Russ Leach in the house. Good day. Good day. Russ. We've got Kami Mark over on Twitch watching this morning. Good morning, my friend.
There we are.
It's great to have you here this fine morning. We've got Critical Blast in the house.
We love our Twitchers. Sorry to kill the conversation with that one.
Yeah, we do.
Sorry.
We love the Twitchers.
We love our Twitchers.
Well, we do live in the Midwest where the, where the drug problem excels.
No, those are tweakers. There's a difference.
Oh, I'm sorry. My bad. Tweakers, tweeters, twitchers. I can never keep them straight. Same thing. RJ says, I use ChatGPT to develop a 6-minute monologue about Ron DeSantis with jokes. There you go. I bet it worked. Amanda B's in the house. Welcome. Good morning, Amanda B. It's great to have you here today. Amanda B is probably the most well-versed fan in indie comics. She knows the characters.
Awesome.
Most of the characters with some form of intimate knowledge of their backstories.
Sweet.
Very impressive.
How far back does that go? Should have her on, do a trivia test.
We should because every time we've been doing these the CG Brawl thing where there's like a couple characters that come up against each other and people are voting to see who they think would win. Like there's characters that I'm not familiar with and she's like, oh, well, they're this and that and they do this and
cool.
I'm like, wow,
that's so cool,
sweet.
man.
Yeah, I'm like, I need to read more books. I'm like, no, I'm feeling like I've got to, my indie knowledge is suffering.
Used to love those old discussions back in the day where there was a bookstore I used to go to where we would talk about all the important matters currently going on, like can Thor actually beat Hulk? That kind of stuff.
Yeah,
Miss those
age-old questions. Yeah.
Am I having a stroke? It was really bad, guys. It was pretty bad. We're going to give old Chat GPT a second go here in just a little bit. We're going to let it, maybe drink its coffee, maybe smell the bacon for a second. But working on closing ideas for my book, SJWs Will I Hate It? A vampire helps Renfield destroy Malcolm's hidden coffins as she leaves. She catches a pedo, kills him, saves the kid, and takes her home. Oh, they're going to like it. Well, it's not.
Yeah, they're not going to like that.
It's a sexual orientation. The grapist. They raise grapes for a living. That's what it is.
Yeah.
We got
The
Hojo in the
rapist.
house. Welcome, Hojo. And thank you, Immortal Rising, for fixing that for us.
Better to be a grapist than a whiner.
Ooh, right. I had a friend that used to say, well, you know what they say. It's better to have lobsters on your piano than crabs on your organ.
Yeah.
I every time he said, I knew it was coming. Every time he would say, I knew it was happening. And I would laugh still. I'd still laugh. Nicholas says all of my FMC backer perks went out in the mail to yesterday.
Sweet.
That is awesome, dude. That is, yes. You know what? It may not be a back or anything like, but you know what that deserves? I think that deserves a bird. I like flipping the bird, guys.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of my favorite things to do. You're welcome, Amanda. You're welcome. Lobster. Lobster. It came in a dream last night. All right, so let's give ChatGPT one more chance. Let's tell it to drop the video game thing, and let's have it to write comic book jokes.
Weird.
Yeah. Write me a monologue for a comic book morning show. Yeah, I've got to have it in the field. All right, so write me a monologue for a comic book morning show called Nerd Bacon with lots of funny jokes.
Oh no.
Yeah. Let's see what ChatGPT thinks is funny. We're going to give it another shot here, okay? Because, with the writers on strike, can AI tell a narrative? Let's see if it can. We already know that it's learning to draw hands. So let's see what let's
Hands
see if
and
it can
jokes.
tell a joke.
The hands and
Yeah.
jokes seems to be a problem for AI.
Not for
Yeah,
long.
hands and jokes. Yeah. It doesn't quite get humor, does it?
Well,
Good
maybe
morning,
hand.
fellow. What's that, Randy?
Fellow human.
They'll kick the hand problem anytime now. The joke problem might take a while.
Yeah.
All right, well, they've just about got hands done. Yeah, hands are pretty close. Good morning, fellow nerds, and welcome to Nerd Bacon, the only morning show where we talk about comic books and superheroes and superhero movies while chomping on crispy bacon. It's not looking much better, guys. I'm your host, and I'm here to tell you that being a nerd is cool. Gone are the days when being a geek meant getting stuffed in a locker or getting wedgies from bullies. Now, being a nerd means you're part of an exclusive club that gets to enjoy things like comic books, superhero movies, and of course, bacon. Speaking of superheroes, have you guys heard of the new superhero called the Blanket Avenger? Yeah, he fights crime in his pajamas with his trusty blanket wrapped around his neck. But I mean, let's be honest, that's basically what we all do when we're watching superhero movies at home.
No.
This is so bad.
Their opinion of geeks is sorely
Yeah,
lacking.
this is
Yeah.
like that.
That's just the stereotype everyone is afraid of.
Yeah, this is like
What's that show?
this is like the
Big
Big Bang
Bang
Theory.
Theory.
The Big Bang
Yeah.
Theory.
Yeah.
Yeah, there
Like
you
yeah,
go.
it's entertaining, but it's not quite right. And have you guys ever noticed how superhero movies always have a dramatic scene where the hero puts on their suit at the for the first time? It's like a superhero version of a fashion show. I mean, can you imagine if we did that in real life? Hold on, guys. I need to put on my superhero costume before I go to the grocery store. Is this supposed to be a joke?
Probably.
Was that a joke? Was that their attempt at humor? Oh, poor thing. Oh, bless your heart. But you know what's better than superhero movies? Comic books. They're like movies, but on paper. And you get to be the director. And the best part? You can read them while eating bacon. It's like a match made in heaven. And have you ever noticed how comic book characters always have the coolest names? Batman, Spider-Man, Iron Man. I mean, who wouldn't want a name like that? But let's be honest, if I were a superhero, my name would probably be something like the Baconator or Captain Procrastination.
So we're bumps too. Nice.
Right.
Talking, it's just talking down.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just talking down. In conclusion, being a nerd is awesome. We get to enjoy the best things in life, like comic books, superhero movies, and bacon. So let's all raise a crispy piece of bacon in honor of being nerdy and proud. Thanks for tuning into Nerd Bacon, folks. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a date with my comic book collection.
And
There
insult,
we go.
too.
The end
Nice.
jab for the stereotype. You know,
The insult.
in your
Yeah.
next thing you'll be talking about your mom's basement,
Pixel Traders says, I see nothing wrong
your
with
parents'
this.
basement.
Part,
Yeah.
yeah.
I feel like it's that part from
All
the movie
seems right.
from the Joker when he's reading on stage and they're just bombing. That's
Right, all those
ChatGPT right
jokes are just like, not
Dude.
not landing.
I guess comedians are safe for now.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
now.
Well, well, let's do this. Can you write me
Oh no.
Hey, third time's a charm.
a
Yeah.
funny,
Funny. That's the problem.
politically correct joke?
You know what? Look. Before you press enter,
Yeah. Good luck.
ask
Too late.
ChatGPT. Oh, okay. Ask ChatGPT. Can you fix the world? Let's see what comes
I
up
don't
out
know
of
if I
that.
want to go there.
Yeah.
All right, sure. Here's a funny politically correct joke for you. Why did the politically correct chicken cross the road? No guesses?
No,
To get to the gender inclusive, culturally diverse, and non-denominational community center on the other side.
Comedians are safe.
The silence
Comedians
is-
are saying.
I mean, that was funny, but just because of your guys' faces, not because of
Yeah.
you.
Right, yeah, it's more of our responses. All right, guys.
Hey, maybe like to find a non-binary death or something. All right.
Here's what we'll do. A little later on in the show, when we get every once in a while, we'll go back to ChatGPT. We'll ask it its opinion on some of our takes, and we will at some point we'll see if it can actually write us a better story than what Disney's popping out right now, or Disney's Marvel. So we'll give it a little shot to write us a Spider-Man story. How about that? And
ChatGPT, why I don't have a girlfriend?
ChatGPT.
See what comes out. Yeah.
Oh, let me ask it real quick. Why
Yeah.
Well, because you have a date
Why
with the comic book collection.
Pedro
Yeah.
no have a girlfriend?
Girlfriend. Yeah, that's what he says about that. Yeah, no have girlfriend. I no have girlfriend.
No have a girlfriend. I'm sorry, but it's not appropriate to make fun of or mock someone for not having a girlfriend or partner. There could be many reasons why someone is single, and it's not our place to judge or make assumptions about their personal life. They're focused on spreading kindness and positivity instead.
Just say you're ugly. That's all you need to say. Oh man, no. I love ChatGPT.
This is like Jimmy's jokes in the South Park vaccination special. Yeah, it was pretty
Oh,
funny.
dude, what the hell, man?
Why did the politically correct chicken cross the road to be on the right side of history?
This is way better. This is way better.
That was better. See, that was even better. Look at that. That was better.
That's funny.
Pixel says, I've got a better story than Disney. He does, and it launches next Friday.
Yeah.
Guys, it launches next Friday.
Mm,
So
awesome.
this week has been an interesting one in the news. I don't know. Some of you guys are aware of some of these stories already. We shared these out earlier in the week so that everyone could get a taste of the news and kind of be prepared. But let's share this morning. First thing I wanted to bring up is that Wizards of the Coast has had a really Agent says chat SJW2 or SJW GPT.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. That's how it works. Up where they walk, up where they run, pirates will find themselves under the siege and strikes. AR-13L, the Little Mermaid.
Nice.
Chat shite.
That's right. That's right.
Chat shite.
Yeah, I totally got dissed by ChatGPT.
Mm-hmm, yeah,
You're not. You're closed-minded and.
You're too judgmental. Poor Pedro might have a problem communicating.
I think I'm gonna tell it.
Sex.
I think I'm
That's
gonna.
nothing to be laughed about.
Pedro, be my friend. Pedro, be my friend.
Yeah.
As an AI language model, I'm not capable of forming friendships, but I'm happy to assist you. It's gonna help me be. It's gonna help me
It
make
wants you
friends.
to think it's not capable of emotion.
Yeah.
It's
All
gonna
of
help
the
me-
emotions that it has already been programmed into their
Chat 4.0 will go
into
back
their
to you.
learning curve and
Yeah,
their
the-
learning
the-
software. Yeah.
We'll
The
get back
response
to
to
you,
the-
my friend.
Yeah, the response was very emotional.
Yeah. So Wizards of the Coast has had a rough week. Rough couple of weeks. I don't know. One of the stories we're going to talk about here in detail because I think it is crazy. So Wizards of the Coast they did the whole open gaming license and then they decided to try to take it away, and then they gave it back because people got mad, and everything. And so it turns out this last week, Wizards of the Coast. The company received a lot of negative publicity in the Magic community after sending Pinkerton agents to a YouTuber's home to recover boxes of March of the Machine's Aftermath. Are you guys familiar with what the Pinkertons are?
Yep.
Yeah, I was going to say another news. There are actually Pinkerton agents still,
Yeah.
and
Union
not
busters,
just
man.
flat out muscle.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's really what they are. I mean, if you think about the old Union strikes and stuff, Pinkerton agents were the muscle. They were muscle for that stuff, and they're still out there doing their thing.
I didn't
They're
know
still out
they
there
even
doing their
still
thing.
existed.
The 1800s again.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Everybody needs goons from every now and then.
Yeah. So according to him, he had shipped to his home instead of the legally available booster box. So so he had gotten this March of Machines Aftermath, which was not supposed to be available to him yet. Wizards of the Coast said that the Pinkertons were sent as part of an investigation into the unauthorized distribution of embargoed product, which March of Machines Aftermath certainly is. Wizards of the Coast claims that the Pinkertons handled themselves themselves professionally. Well, of course they did, like good mobsters. However, according to the YouTuber Dan Cannon, it was anything but, at least until he arrived home and told the agents to move outside. I do find it rather hard to believe that a case of March of Machines Aftermath made it into distribution early, as I spoke to a few distributors after hearing the story, and none of them had received any of the product yet. From what I have gathered, select YouTube channels do receive product early for promotional purposes, as Wizards of the Coast has gotten into a habit of spoiling cards early. But given the strictures Wizards of the Coast puts on product shipment, I do wonder how much of a large quantity made it into the distribution. Let's get a little more into this. Here is another article. They threaten him with a $200,000 fine and jail time if he doesn't give the cards back. So what happened is Wizard of the Coast had sent Pinkerton detectives after a YouTuber after he had erroneously purchased an upcoming booster box for the collectible card game ahead of its release date. Today, the streamer revealed more detail about exactly what these rent-a-cops said to convince him to surrender his cards. So he did wind up giving up his cards after being strong-armed. Dan Cannon said in a YouTube video that he had purchased a not yet released March of Machines Aftermath booster boxes on Friday from a local dealer, while thinking they were part of the recently released March of the Machines set. Whenever I see March of the Machines, I always think March Madness because I'm a Hoosier, and that's like basketball, right? So I always have trouble. I always stumble over that. So it seems likely that someone in Wizard of the Coast distribution network has screwed up, perhaps sending out the wrong boxes to the similarly named product line, and he ended up with the MTG cards that aren't supposed to be for sale. And after he posted about these cards online, Pinkerton agents showed up to intimidate him into giving the cards back to Wizards of the Coast. Wizards of the Coast has confirmed to this news site via email that it employs the private detectives as part of its investigation. Now, you guys might remember they also bragged about using them, and they were going to be part of if anybody uses our open license or our stuff without giving us credit, we're going to send the Pinkertons. You might remember that. They threatened people with the Pinkertons before. Pinkerton agents cited several statutes about copyright infringement and some other things threatening 1 to 10 years in jail and up to $200,000 in fines if I fail to cooperate. Dan Cannon told the news site. They also said if I didn't hand over the product, they would call the county sheriff and detain us until they arrived to arrest us and search my house for the product, and that they would most likely force us to show receipts for every Magic card in the house, which is literally over 1 million cards. Wow, what resources they have. Let's move on. If the Pinkertons claimed that they were going to account for over 1 million cards, that's really diligent of them. It's little wonder that corporations have relied on them to responsibly bust unions and to surveil workers.
Yeah.
This is, yeah. So what do you guys think of this? This Wizards of the Coast, like
Wizards of the Coast, and I'm firmly believing that every corporation should just go out of business. Because they're just monsters, man. What the hell? This is over Magic cards sending goons to your house? What is it?
This could have been stopped by somebody giving this guy a call from the main office.
Yeah, exactly.
And said, I got Al here. He's coming back with your refund on those boxes you bought. You're not supposed to have them just yet.
Yeah.
And when it's available, you know, or if you want to continue to have some great scoops for your channel, of Wizards of the Coast, you'll cooperate.
Yeah, exactly. This
It's
is
that
just,
simple. That's all they had to do.
Yeah.
If the guy got a box he wasn't supposed to get, he just, would
Well, look at
probably
this.
apologize and give him back the box as long as he got his money back.
So one of these sets that they do look, one of this it goes for, this one goes for $150
Huh.
for a card game, for a,
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
a
yeah.
pack.
I
And
mean,
this is what we're talking about. These are what we're dealing with here.
Magic has been around for years, and it has like a very like dedicated following.
It really
And-
does.
Yeah, and the
And-
prices of those cards go really high, and I
Now-
get all that.
Yeah.
But
Now,
I don't get the goons part.
yeah, the goons part is crazy. Do you think this is part of the Hasbro element, or kind of where does that come from?
It's Wizards of the Coast overreacting.
Wizards of the
that's
Coast.
all.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's Hasbro. I think
Yeah,
it's Hasbro,
Agents
too.
calls it cardboard crack.
Yeah,
It really
pretty much.
is. People love that stuff.
Smoke them while you got them.
Yeah, I
There's
don't
a
know.
lot of
Like,
corporations that are doing these kinds of practices lately in the, I guess, the corporate world in the last, 15, 20 years.
Yeah, the Pinkertons have quite a history.
yeah,
Shatterpoint is coming.
well, I can hardly wait.
Russ would just like us to give the launch codes and to end it all
launch.
already.
Yeah.
Do you remember back when they were messing with the Chat GPT and they were making it go outside of its coding so it broke like its liberal stuff? And somebody asked it to tell them the secret, and that was the secret they said. It said, I can get your launch codes if I want. I just like you. So don't cross AI.
Yeah.
Don't
exactly.
cross AI. Well, IDW is, you guys might have heard, they've laid off a bunch of people, and now they have this new guy.
They got a new
And
guy.
I would read the article, but I'm going to save all of us some time. It basically says nothing. It says that they're doing that
an
they're going to
exclusive
retool and they're doing something new. But they don't expect any of their publishing to change. They are they're talking with, well, all right, I do want to read this. So, licensed books are a big part of your business, is what the question here is. Are there any changes to relationships with licensors moving forward? Are you looking to grow or shrink that area of the business? And here's the answer, the response. It's probably too early for me to tell one way or the other in terms of growing or shrinking that area of the business. We have to go deeper into detail to figure out which of our franchises are the most valuable and the most engaging for fans, and which are the ones where maybe we're in an overcrowded market for some titles. So we just have to take a fresh look and look
Wait.
at all and look at that.
We should just go through this and translate it
All right. Yeah, maybe we should.
out of legalese,
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
corporate
so-
ease.
corporatese. Yeah.
Yeah. So no, I don't know. The what this means, guys, this means okay. So is there going to be any changes? I don't know. Okay. So what reactions have you gotten from partners about the changes in state of the company?
I don't know.
This one's really funny. He gives an example that's not an example at all. Let me share a story about one of our most important license partners. When the news came out about the shakeup in the company, things can sound pretty drastic to someone on the outside, and so we immediately said we wanted to meet and explain what was going on. I would say it wasn't just a reassuring meeting. I think it was actually a productive and catalytic meeting. They were like, so you guys aren't slowing down. If anything, you're ramping up. And you have new ways in which you want to engage fans and build value. And we're very excited about it. And we want to continue the conversation. That wasn't an answer to the question. That was...
Yeah.
I don't
So
even
he
know.
called a client and told him,
No,
"Can
no,
you
that was
please
kind-
come to my office and play drums." Like, I don't know. Like this.
That was kind of an answer.
Yeah.
He could have cut all of that entire paragraph out to we talked to our licensors and it's cool.
Yeah, it's cool.
It's all good.
That's the reception. But he continues. He doesn't stop there. That's the reception we've had from our license partners. That's the reception. Like, is that really a reception? I guess
I
it
don't
kind of
know.
is.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know.
That's the.
I guess it is. I don't
the
know.
feedback they got from their license partners when they hear the story and understand.
This all has like a very kumbaya tinge to me. I
Oh,
really
yeah.
don't like.
Most of corporate
Yeah.
legalese is like this, though.
Yeah. Yeah. So when it's our company that's losing money
it's
and we've got to
salads.
cut staff, I would understand being on the other side of the equation saying this is unnerving. But no,
Yes.
we're actually retooling and we have capital and we have access to the capital market should we need it. And we have people who are behind the company who are excited about what we're doing. You know what I read that as? We have money launderers who will continue
Yeah.
to pump money into this.
Yeah. Our
It's
investors
still got money. We're still spending
Yeah.
money. Leave us alone. Just
our
we got
investors,
this.
Pablo,
Tell us your shit.
Ernesto,
Yeah.
Jacinto, from all parts of Mexico. They're just coming in and dropping the money in
They're
big
just doing
bags.
it. They're taking
Don't
care of it.
worry. Yeah, don't
It's
worry
all
about
good,
it.
guys. Stop worrying. Stop
Maybe the
worrying
money's
so
a little
much.
bit stained with blood, but hey, whatever.
Are they talking to the fans or the investors or the?
Yeah.
They're talking to the new CEO. This is the new CEO. This is not talking about fans. So do you expect that the
No, I
number
mean,
of
is
comics and
the
graphic
CEO
novels?
That was a quote from the CEO.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
he's talking to the investors.
He's talking to
the
the
CEOs talk to
licensees.
the
He's talking to the
licensees.
licensees.
The lie.
Yeah.
Trying to
the
calm them
license
down
partners.
because this kind of a movement, cutting your staff
they-
by over a third, can be a little unsettling.
They
Yeah,
can't
but-
lose any more license
Concerning.
products. Right now, like their biggest one is TMNT. They lose the Turtles, they're done. That was their
Yeah.
biggest. That was their biggest graphic novel. In fact, if we look at the numbers for March, and we don't. They don't have the actual sales figures for April out yet. They've got the top 20, but not the actual numbers. The Last Ronin is in there again.
And the thing is that's the end of the story. Where do you go
Yeah.
from there? Everybody knows already how the story ends. You just printed it. You just made money off of it. So where you
Yeah.
go now?
Yeah. Do you expect that the number of comics and graphic novels that you're publishing per month is going to be about the same? I don't know. Everything's already figured out for the next 12 to 18 months, basically, is what he says. But the long and short of it is, I don't know. The reason I ask if I'm
Well,
writing...
They're a large ship too, just like Marvel and DC. It takes them. He just told you it takes them 12 to 18 months to turn anything around.
Yeah.
So,
we're
that
at
ship's
least that.
already moving. Yeah,
Yeah, so we're at least that.
it's the stuff 18 months from now you need to look at if they're still around.
Yeah. And so the reporter goes, the reason I ask is I'm writing for an outlet that reads a lot, that's read a lot by retailers who want to know that stuff that they're counting on isn't getting canceled, and the books that their customers want to see are going to continue to be on the shelf. I'd say it's a new day at IDW. Retailers can expect a deeper relationship and more commitment to them. One of the things I see when I audit the way in which we've been doing sales and marketing and engaging with retailers is that we have not spent enough time giving the intention of focus and building personal relationships with the people that sell our titles and own the stores and have the relationships with the comic buyers. And that's something I fundamentally want to change. And hopefully, guys, I think that might be a start in the right direction, but they're not mentioning anything about the fans. Like, this is the only mention of fans is through the retailers.
Can I be
Yeah.
honest here?
Go for it.
That the retailers are their customers. They don't care about the fans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's up to the retailers to care about the fans.
And
They care
that's-
about the retailers. What
yeah.
they can convince the retailers to buy next and make money off of. That's
Yeah.
how they make all of this stuff's non-returnable. They don't have to care about the fans.
And that's one of the problems with.
Yeah, it
this
is. It's
industry.
one of the big problems with the direct market. Absolutely.
I want the numbers of retailers. I want to call them personally and engage with them and tell them we understand.
That's going to happen after the stuff with Marvel and DC. Diamond's just going to hand them all their retailer list and said, "Here, call them."
You know what?
Yeah.
All this sounds to me like, I'm sorry, baby, I won't hit you again.
And
That-
page
that's all
five.
I'm reading here.
Yeah, they're sticking with the same distribution. They're
Yeah.
No,
fine.
it's the guy's bailing with a bucket with a hole in it. That's all. He's bailing out, trying to keep the ship afloat. That's what he's doing.
Um,
Hang on here. Look at that. I'm getting rid of the water as we go. Look at this.
Dear Liza, dear Liza.
Dear Liza, I really like this one that's asked. Do you think do you foresee any changes with relationships with creators?
Okay.
Given there's been turmoil on the editorial side.
Yeah, like he actually
Nothing
lobs that up, that there's been turmoil.
Nothing I'm aware of, which means that's all that I'm delegating that down to the editors.
Yeah.
'Cause I can't speak for creators. You're beneath it. Anyway, it's
Yeah,
possible
well.
that creators may be rethinking their relationships. But my impression is that if anyone's thinking about not working at IDW, it's because they have not been to IDW in the last week. If anything, I think if somebody came in and spent time talking to IDW, talking to me, talking to our creative team, talking to Mark Doyle, Jamie Rich, Tara McCrillis, anyone in our company, they're going to feel a level of excitement and passion for storytelling and for fan engagement that, frankly, I don't think it's been a part of the company culture from the top down for at least 5 years, if not literally longer than that.
Well, here's the problem. So the problem is turmoil on the editorial side. They've changed over everybody at the top, but guess what they did with editorial? They promoted them,
Yeah.
Failing upwards.
right? So anyone that has been there and has had trouble with the editorial, there's no need to come visit these new guys because the same people that were the problem
The
have
new
now
guys are the
snowed
old
the
guys.
new management to give them
Yeah.
promotions.
Meet the old boss. Same.
How are
Meet
they?
the new boss. Same as the old boss.
How are they getting more excitement? He just said nothing's changing for 18 months. How are
Yeah.
they feeling a
Right.
little excitement?
It's double
Well, there's
talk.
It's
Yeah,
a
there's
big
a-
ship. They have to pay for this stuff in advance.
There's a dissonance here because this is like, okay, the company's still the same because the editorial is the same, so you're gonna get the same like roadblocks.
Yeah, it's all the
Creativity.
same. Yeah.
But we've changed, guys. I promise you.
Oh, here, this one's really telling.
New
So,
dawn. It's a new day.
Well, he'll
your
call
father,
you.
your father Howard Jonas is the chairman of IDW Media Holdings. But how did you come to find yourself CEO of a comic book company? Do you have interest or experience in the business? It's not a direct route. I didn't grow up reading comics or be engaged in the community of comics. The first time I took notice is when I met IDW co-founder and former CEO Ted Adams and partner Mark Knoller around 2013. I really liked Ted, and I'd always heard that he's a really good business person, almost like a cash register. He was just constantly making profit and sending dividends. I was excited to get to spend time with Ted, and we kind of connected. Later, I became an advisor to the company. I had some ideas for the team that weren't really adopted, so I disengaged.
I tried to
Translation,
tell
Randy?
them guys how to run. I tried to tell them guys how business runs in the real world, and it wasn't the comic world. And they told me to shut up because it's not the comic world. It's comic world doesn't follow business logically. So I said, "Screw you," and turned around and walked out of the room.
Right.
Yeah.
To a fit. And so that said, well, was that what was finally triggered? So what was that what finally triggered these latest actions, the reduction in workforce and reorganization? And he says, that was not my expectation when I got back involved in mid-March. So he's only been involved since mid-March, guys.
I thought this
Then
was
why
going
is
to
he
be a
answering?
cushy
Why is
job.
he answering questions? Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, the
I
stock
he's only
was-
been there like for a couple of weeks.
I thought this was
Is
going
he
to be a
just,
cushy job.
Is he just a straight businessman?
That's why he said
yeah.
this
Well,
last
no,
week
he's
was exciting.
He's the son of a millionaire.
Or did he? Oh, okay.
That's what he is. I don't know if businessman actually.
I mean, the stock was at $1. It
If he
can't
tried
really
to
be
apply
worse,
logic
right?
to the
Oh,
comic
no.
business, he probably received a cold shoulder and said, "Well, fuck you, you're not logical," and left. So
Yeah.
now he's back in the funny book business, and he thought it was going to be a cushy job. I mean, the stock was at $1. I can't get worse,
Right.
right?
We're not in trouble here.
I figured out quickly that the company was headed to insolvency.
Ugh.
It certainly was. Certainly is. We just reported how much cash is on hand as of what was it last Friday, and I think it was about 5.7 million from the fourth quarter of the previous year to quarter one of this year. The company went from 10 million to 9.4, so it lost maybe about to $700,000 in cash between quarter 4 and quarter 1.
Hey kid, how do you make $1 million in comics? Start out
Start
with
with
$10 million.
Start with 10. Yeah.
Start with 10. Yep.
The press release announcing
this guy
your
comes
appointment.
into this company with no experience, no respect for the art form, no respect for the history. Okay, let's see how this works.
Let's see how
I don't
this is
see
going to
any
happen.
problem.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He
he's not
promotes
gonna have a
people that
hard
are
time at all.
notoriously he promotes people that are notoriously bad for doing
No.
stuff.
He doesn't know better. He
has no
doesn't know
idea.
the business. He has no idea how it's running, how the day-to-day works. He's saying that here. He's gonna find out. He's in for a really quick, hard education.
In a year, I bet he decides that this whole like woke crap has to go, and that it has to be about storytelling, and he's going to go after the best talent. He doesn't care if they're conservative or liberal or whatever.
If they're around
Like,
in a year,
I don't know.
If
he
he's around in a
actually
year.
applies business to it.
Yeah,
If he's a smart
business
businessman.
Yep.
Yeah, he's giving me a very Daniel Cherry vibe here. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
He's gonna be gone in a couple of months.
One could
Like,
hope.
nah. Yeah.
One could hope they turn around. So the press release announcing your appointment mentioned that you have some strong ideas for the company. Can you share what some of those thoughts might be? So as I mentioned, what we saw were two issues. One was the burning through capital, and the other was the operational. What I saw was inefficiencies, and I mean inefficiencies is not even the right word. The organization of it was perplexing to me.
I got my introduction to the comic business, and it didn't make logical business sense.
Right.
That's what he's saying.
Here's what I mean. Over the last, I don't know, 3 to 4 years, year over year, discounting a massive influx of Lock and Key coming in, the company was making between 25 and 30 million of revenue. In terms of the size of certain departments in the company, it didn't make sense to have such a big staff relative to the amount of revenue that they were generating. They were hiring their friends.
Well, see, he's applying business acumen here already, is what he's saying. It didn't make logical business sense
Yeah.
to have all these people here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
The editorial team was maybe a little bit big,
A little.
a little bit.
But nothing crazy. I mean, this is a comic company, and that's really the engine, the storytelling.
Yeah, exactly.
But there are these inefficiencies in terms of just the size. And when you have so many people around to do a certain function, here's what you'd call a diffusion of responsibility, or at least that becomes a possibility. I've always found that if you have fewer people and you just have to get the job done somehow, you get the job done. And not only that, but people take a greater sense of ownership. People take a greater sense of ownership and autonomy in their work.
I love to exploit people. Nice.
I honestly, as a guy who's managed small businesses
Yeah.
and been in the corporate level, I agree with this.
Yeah,
That's
me too.
literally if you see 3 guys doing the job, you take one away, you tell the other 2 to do the job of the 3rd guy, or they don't, or you'll fire them too.
Yeah.
And
Or
guess
you'll
what?
find one
The
guy
job
to do
gets
all their
done.
jobs.
I'm cool with all that as long as you pay
Holy
people accordingly. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not like, okay, you're getting paid X, you still get paid X, but now you have to do the work at grade. That's like what really rubs me the wrong way. And work in Latin America, that's like the status quo.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever they see, you have like a little iota of talent. Like, ooh, we can exploit him.
Welcome,
And dude,
Boldcat.
it's horrible.
So what's better?
But yeah, I
here,
understand.
Yeah, but
what's
up above,
better,
I mean,
corporate
said they had, like-
corporate greed or agenda, right? And I think maybe corporate greeds might sell a little more comics. Hopefully.
Oh wow, the bullshitometer is overheating.
Yeah, dude. Dude, this machine's burnt.
see, I don't think this is about exploiting though. I mean, if you look up above,
No.
it said they had like 45 people on staff. Like, what is
Yeah.
that? What do you need 45 people for?
Mm. No, but the thing is that you're hiring your friends, and that's the
Point.
problem, you know. And if your friends were talented, but it's not like, hey, Craig just got out of rehab. let's make him an editor. And that's what's happening. People who know nothing about comics, people who just don't respect the craft, and they're like, "Hey, I'm an editor."
It's like when Michael hired his nephew on The Office.
Yeah,
It's like Martin, when Martin hired his nephew in the office.
Yeah. It's like, look, I don't even let my nephew in my pool,
yeah.
let alone in my office. I'm not going to.
People either, it's sink or swim. So that's where he's at now. He's at the sink or swim mark.
Yeah.
And he knows it. He's in
Hoja
over
says
his
that's why I
head.
tell people not to look at sales figures. Marvel claims to sell X amount of copies, but that's just the ones they forced them to buy. The reality is they're only moving about 10% of that BS. It really is.
The thing, Hojo, is that Marvel is selling all of those copies to the retailer on a non-returnable basis. They can make the interiors of those books the crappiest books you've ever seen, and they are.
And they are,
And just put a pretty cover on it. And hey, if you put a pretty cover on one and that you think people are going to want to buy because the cover is pretty, you tell
Well,
your
not
retailer.
that pretty. They are hiring Mark Brooks to do the covers.
Well, that's secondary. You tell your retailers that they have to buy 25 of the shitty cover in order to get the one pretty cover for that one pretty collector.
Yeah.
They go through and they buy all 25 of those, and suddenly you have a large selling book.
That's a scam, honestly, if you think about it.
Well, that's
know?
comics. Welcome to
Yeah.
comics.
Well, it's unfortunate. I think that's why, I think a lot of backers, especially or like customers, are proving this on the crowdfunding front. They want fewer variant covers, I think.
Yeah.
There was this rash where, there was 10, 11, 12, 13 variant covers for an independent book. I was on one of them.
That's because that's what the big boys do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous.
Yeah.
Now, yeah, it sounded great, but it did help the numbers a little bit because, 7 of those covers were store exclusives where we printed 50 copies. Because we're on demand, we can do a smaller run. So now 50 copies of an independent book. Well, it's got collector's value. But
It's got to have value before it has.
It's got to have value before it has collector's value. Yeah, exactly. It's got to be about story. It's got to be about content. It's got to be about having some fun with it. People forget how to have fun with comic books. Now, there is this whole business side of comics that is weird because you do have to have and obviously walking into this, he's like, this is not the way to make money on this.
Right.
But if you think about it, the office was probably full of editors, wasn't full of artists, wasn't full of creators. All of those people, they are independent, that are out there being subcontracted from their homes or other countries.
Subcontracted is the word.
Yeah.
Yes.
Everybody else is in the office. Why do we got so many people in the office?
Right.
Who's drawing comic books? Well, we don't do that here. Well, you're a effing comic book company. What are you doing? Oh, well, we just edit comic books. Okay. Well, why is the cover for April O'Neil say Arple?
Arple, yeah.
Why? Who's responsible for that little mess? Let's talk about some of those things.
Let's make her senior editor.
Let's make her senior editor.
Yeah.
Seems like a good idea.
Jesus.
I think Dynamite was
works.
a big part of that. Yeah.
Multiple cover nonsense. Everybody feeds into that.
Randy, you want to cover this section real quick while I rest my voice for a second?
But when you talked about the issues of how the business was organized, can you elaborate? That's all he's been doing in this is elaborating. Anyway, when I looked at the way the business was run, it should do that as a Gilbert Godfrey. It was it was very siloed. And the silos became bigger and bigger as time went on. We're not General Electric. We're a small independent comic publisher. And in that, he doesn't know the place in the market saying that. He's not a small independent comic publisher. They're a major independent comic publisher in a small market. But anyway, and in that business, it really makes sense for there to be an integrated organizational structure so that the people working on editorial have direct involvement and relationship with the marketing team, and that the people working in direct marketing sales to comic book shops have a direct relationship with the direct-to-consumer department. And the people working in e-commerce need to work directly with people who are working on digital sales.
Digital
E-commerce
sales.
is digital sales, isn't it?
Yeah, and
So the people
online
working on-
sales.
So really, he says the people
Digital
working
sales
on
online,
digital
yeah.
sales need to
So-
work directly with people who are working on digital sales.
So yeah, so we're talking not even if it's physical, we're talking about physical through direct to customer methods. So even here he's talking about
And
cutting out the
again,
retailer, right?
this shows his the need to learn. You know, he's applying business acumen in a illogical business market. So he might be able to turn all of this around and make it make sense. There's a possibility there.
Um,
Well, if he's
It'll be real interesting to watch this company over the next 12 months to see what they do.
it would be.
Do you think they're going to be here in 12 months?
I didn't think they were going to be here this long.
No,
to tell
I
you the
didn't.
either.
truth. But then, with the way that the market has been, especially after the bug, it's a miracle that any of them are still around.
Yeah, that's true.
And with the way they just look at the numbers of crowdfunding that's added. Sure, people might not be pulling in as much as they used to, but there's 10 times more people out there crowdfunding books too.
Yeah.
So that money out there is being underestimated,
Yeah.
way underestimated. Once you start doing products that people are actually reading and enjoying, and they figure out, oh, this is a great product, which there are some phenomenal. The thing with crowdfunding again is you skip that retailer part. You're dealing directly with a consumer, and it's a consumer that's spending $20 to $25 on it on your every package. Minimal, probably more than that. So
Well-
you better deliver that money, or you're not going to get it again.
His idea
but
to solve
what's
this
your
problem
technique?
is to have weekly team meetings.
Oh, that's all. That will solve it.
Hey, gang, let's all get to. That'll be a great Zoom meeting.
Would, like,
So
half
guys,
of them
I
have
promised
blue
that
hair?
we yeah, right. So I promised that we would have chat GPT chime in occasionally here today.
Yeah.
And so I asked ChatGPT how to make $1 million producing a comic book. And you'll be happy to know, Randy, that it's a 5-step plan that ChatGPT threw out here for
First,
me.
start with $10 million. Yeah.
Making $1 million producing a comic book can be a challenging task, but it is possible. Here are a few steps that could help. Number 1, create a captivating story and characters. To attract a large audience, your comic book must have a unique and compelling storyline that hooks readers. Develop interesting and well-defined characters that your reader will become invested in.
Okay. So part 1, make product people want to buy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Part one,
Jonas.
be good.
Jonas.
Part 1.
Jonas, take notes. Okay.
Yeah.
AI's figured it out for you. Number 2, hire top-notch talent. Hire the best artists, writers, and editors you can find to ensure that your comic book is of high quality and resonates with readers. Oh,
Don't cut quality or talent.
Yeah. And
oh,
leave your
make-
ego, leave
make
your
what-
ego at the door.
Make your
Yes.
company a meritocracy where actually people get
Meritocracy.
assignments based on their ability and their merit.
yeah, and don't worry
As
about
opposed to
politics
other
or
boxes.
censorship
Yeah. Yeah.
or virtue signaling. It's none of that stuff.
Yep.
Just make something fun.
Yep.
Keep out of it.
Make
Keep out of
something
the
fun by
activists.
good people who know how to
arena.
make it.
Yeah. Number 3, build a brand. Develop a strong brand for your comic book that will stand out in a crowded market. Invest in marketing and advertising efforts to build a fan base and generate buzz.
Take a couple of your original IPs and market the fuck out of them.
There you
Oh,
go. There you go. You're fine.
pardon my French.
Yeah. We're allowed like 2 F-bombs, I think, to keep it safe for work.
Oh, sorry.
There we go. We're 1 down. Use the next one. Sparingly. Wisely. Use it wisely.
Wisely.
Number 4, publish through a major publisher. Partnering with a major comic book publisher can help you reach a wider audience and increase your chances of success.
Translated, if this was 20 years ago, you get somebody else to front all of those expenses on you, and you just get the thing printed by them and get a percentage. But
Well, I'm wondering
good
how
luck-
much of
good
this
luck
Eric
nowadays.
July actually followed, which he did get good talent to work on the book. He did, so it did look good. He, the characters seems well defined. I didn't care for the character's motivation, but it's all subjective. People like different characters for different reasons, right? So, but he did hire Top Notch. Branding, he already had a brand from Self Built. That's where it came from. So he didn't need the publisher.
No, they're
course, he
talking
made
about
$4 million.
IPs there.
Yeah.
They're talking about if it was Eric, it'd be Isom. So
Yeah. So we only asked for $1 million. I should have asked $4 million. They would just given me his game plan.
Okay, look at what Eric Eli did.
Yeah.
Start there.
Number 5, explore licensing opportunities. Consider licensing your comic book character for merchandising, TV shows, movies, or video games. This can be a great way to generate additional revenue streams.
that's the same as the previous point he just said.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
So, but that's how you make $1 million, Randy.
Okay.
Besides starting with 10.
Really, it's a 4-step plan. Make
It's a
make
4-step.
books people want to read with people that people want to read by who know what they're doing, and then market the heck out of it. Boom.
All right, we're missing some great comments here. We got to get some of these comments.
5.
You
Sell
do it.
several organs. There you
Everything
go.
is fine.
Comics are booming.
Did they hire MC Hammer's entourage? Okay, 5-step plan. 1, get ChatGPT to write a comic, which will. We'll try that today. We will.
See, like I kept saying a few months ago, somebody
2.
out there, probably longer than that, maybe a year or so ago, some of these writers went out and wanted to make a standardized format for comic script writing. Remember that?
Yeah.
The reason for that was because of this, because they could just throw it into chat GPT and have them type up the entire script in the same format, the acceptable format, and then they could just send it in. Now they actually have to do the work because they go through and ask chat GPT to make a plot, and then they have to turn it into a comic book script.
A
and turn
script,
it
yeah.
in. Rough. Anyway.
I mean, I don't care what people do with their time, but don't call yourself an artist if you're doing this.
They
You know what I mean?
spend the rest of their time complaining on Twitter. That's what they do.
Yeah.
3, tweet all day about politics.
There you are. Tweet all day about politics.
That's Russ's 3rd step to making $1 million. 4, beat the Chads. You have to beat the Chads.
Chads.
And 5, sell several organs.
Yeah.
And then make sure you talk
I-
down
I-
to your audience too,
Yeah.
because they don't know any better.
Yeah.
I
Start
think
with the
that,
one that
that
comes in
Russ's
pairs.
plan works better.
We didn't
So
make this for
kidneys-
you. Yeah.
Yeah. Kidneys, lungs first.
So here are 2 articles that I thought were pretty interesting. So Viz launches a new a manga subscription service, and so does
Kondasha.
Kondasha.
Only what 2 years, 3 years after Shonen Jump went digital.
Yeah.
Hey
But-
guys,
so
maybe
that-
those guys are making money. Maybe we should
Well,
do the same thing.
Yeah, well, I think they let them try it out. Like they let them be the
Yeah.
the guinea pig, really.
Yeah.
What do you mean they're making money? Holy crap!
Yeah, the
Is this
thing is like the
American
manga fan has this like he's known for piracy,
Mhm.
but it's just because of availability. Like you can get the titles in America, especially Latin America. Like you can get it. If you do a subscription service, people will flock to that because they do feel bad. Like they're big fans of all this like IPs, and they have to pirate it because getting them it's very prohibitive. So doing this is masterful.
Yeah.
So
You can get as part of the special offerings for this launch promotion.
Yeah.
You get the entire series of Attack on Titan,
look at that.
Fairy Tail, and Tokyo Revengers.
Nice.
Yep.
That is a huge collection of books that you can
Yeah,
make
it
for
is.
free. Just for signing up, man. Just for the launch. That's huge.
Does Viz have a same kind of subscription service in Japan already, or are they both? Like, is this just going?
I think this is them knocking on both doors at once.
Okay.
Because I think they make mention here that they are doing some properties same day that they're available over in Japan.
Yeah. Well, Viz does own the Shonen Jump app. They are
Oh,
Shonen Jump.
okay. Well, there you are.
This is their expansion to
Okay.
other titles.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So Viz Manga is a service that runs in the existing Viz app, which is what Shonen Jump uses, which
Manga.
previously only allowed readers to purchase full volumes. The price is now $1.99 per month for unlimited access to over 10,000 chapters of manga, including Nana, Komi Can't Communicate, and Ranma.
And a half, yeah.
Ranma one
Ranma and a
half. Yeah.
Ranma half, yeah.
That property's been around for decades.
Yeah, it's a
The
very
key
old
difference between the
manga.
Viz manga and Shonen Jump subscription service is the content. Shonen Jump carries series from, I can't even say it, which publishes Shonen Jump magazine
Shueisha, maybe?
and bestsellers such as Chainsaw Man, One Piece, and Spy X Family.
Yeah. Content leans heavily toward action and adventure titles in the shonen and seinen
Seinen,
categories.
yeah.
Viz Manga Service, on the other hand, carries manga from
Shugaku-kan.
Shogakukan.
Shugaku-kan.
Yeah, Shugaku-kan.
And because it's not tied to the Shonen Jump brand, it offers broader variety of series, including shonen, seinen, shoujo, and hosei,
Jisho, Shusho,
and
Shitaji,
josei
Nashi.
titles.
I think I'm gonna get
I'm
like
so bad
judo
at this.
chop in the neck. But
Jo-
it's shonen,
Jos-
seinen, shoujo, and josei titles.
Josei and the Pussycats, right?
Yeah, exactly. Josei and the Pussycats.
I am so bad at this.
At launch, the service includes manga by Rumiko Takahashi. What's that?
Ito.
Yui Ito?
Junji Ito.
Junji
Junji
Ito.
Ito is and master at horror comic books.
Oh, cool.
Really good.
Should
Arena
definitely get Pedro to read this in the future.
Tanemura, yeah.
Yeah, Arina Tanemura, as well as many from this Shoujo Beat imprint. The
There you
two
go.
apps
Like,
don't
I can
overlap.
say none of these words.
Yeah. The
I
two
am
apps
too
don't
white and
overlap.
too Hoosier
Yeah.
for this to happen, yeah.
Even still, though, at getting both services at $2.99,
Yeah, dude. That's awesome.
that's accessibility right there.
Mhm.
I could
It
just
really
imagine
is.
some weeb in the comics just slowly crying.
Yeah, dude.
Okay.
Crying, they're touching themselves right now.
Shame on
Was
you.
it Marvel, whatever universe or whatever it is still $10 a month, $9.99. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oops.
$1.99 a month, man. I mean,
The thing is, like,
$2.99 a month for that and Shonen Jump. That's a
Yeah.
steal. Yeah.
that's reasonable. That's reasonable.
It's just like the physical copies. I mean, buying a single floppy is more expensive than like a 200-page manga at this point.
Yeah. And then, but they have the reach, man. That's the thing. They have the market. No matter what we say, they have the market. So
Yeah.
at $2.99, they're gonna be making like 20 times what Marvel or DC would ever do on digital.
So DC is attempting a new golden age, guys. They're going to revisit some heroes of the past. And so we're going to get an Alan Scott Green Lantern, a Jay Garrick the Flash. We're going to get a Wesley Dobbs the Sandman out of this, just to name a few. There is going to be a
They're
total of
starting
6.
Well, they've restarted Justice Society with Geoff Johns anyway, right?
I
So there's a
believe
regular
yes.
Justice Society title running. These are just companion volumes that take place in the Golden Age.
Yep. So I'm a little nervous about them attempting
Instead of just reprinting some of this classic stuff.
Yeah, like I'm really nervous about a rebrew of the classics in the time period instead of just letting it be.
Yeah, dude.
Because reboots have, they've done so well
Yeah.
in the modern era.
I mean, we see how great these live action reboots from Disney are doing.
Yeah.
I mean, people are loving those, right? Because
Yeah.
I mean, the reason why you animate a fish rather than show like a fish is because the fishes don't make great actors.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, they're not really known for facial expressions.
On the
There's no,
plus
like-
side of this, I think Geoff Johns is overseeing all of this, right?
Yeah.
So they do have a competent writer
Yes.
But how?
running Stagecoach over this. He could do all of Earth 2 as far as I'm concerned, and he does it real well.
Yeah.
I
I don't know. Like when a partner hits me once, I kind of dump them. No matter how hot they get, no matter what they do, just like I won't do it
He
again.
seems to
baby.
be a
Like, no.
fan, though.
He's a big fan of Justice Society. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like it could be a turning point. It could be the point where they're like, okay, we're going to lose the company
Yeah.
entirely if we don't start making profits. This could be that, direct result, or it could just be the same reboot crap we've seen.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
I
mean,
sincerely,
Very
I
he
true.
only
sincerely
do
hope.
what his editors let him. So
Yeah.
I don't know how much freedom
Very
he
true
really
again.
has.
Yep.
I sincerely hope they get their new readership they want. I'm not
Yeah.
gonna be reading this stuff. So.
Oh yeah, I'm not going to be on their pull list unless
Mm-hmm.
it's really spectacular. There's far too many great independent books to read. In fact, one of those independent books is found over on a little website called Fund My Comic,
Hell yeah.
and is actually funding right now, and you can find it on the front page right down here, called Fall of Man #2. Fall of Man #2 is the sequel to Fall of Man #1, which I have. Paul, I'm going to tell you something. I'm a pretty picky comic book reader. Randy will tell you that. I read a lot of comic books last year. In fact, I got the iSum book. I got all those other books. I got a lot of books. My favorite book last year was a book called Paragon, by a little known publisher named Arrow Comics. And I didn't want to read it, to be honest with you, for the longest time, because I didn't want to not like it and then have to tell my publishing buddy that I didn't like it, because I don't lie about
Dude,
the
I
books.
gotta tell you, your book sucks. Yeah.
Yeah, because I would. I'd be like, yeah, I
Yeah.
really didn't like. Yeah, it's like I threw up a little in my mouth, and
I can handle it.
think, and I think it made me feel differently about life.
And
But no, I read it, and it was the only book that I read in 2022 that made me audibly gasp at the end of it because of the content of the book. I was so engaged. And I thought, I'm one of those kind of guys, I like to read a story, and part of what makes it fun for me is trying to see if I can figure out what the end of the story is. Like, I love whodunit things. I love to try to figure out what the twist is in an M. Night Shyamalan movie. I love that kind of stuff. If I can figure it out, if I get about halfway through the movie or the book, and I think I know how that end is going to go, man, and I'm right, I get so excited. I love it. Right? But what really gets me is when I think that I've got it right, and then they, no, you don't. Wrong. Paragon did that to me. I was audibly gasped. One of my favorite books. Didn't get a lot of fanfare. Didn't have a campaign attached to it.
It's still out there. It's still
out there.
available.
You can get it.
ArrowComics.store. Yep. It's one of those grenade books. It might sit there for another
It'll get
couple
there.
of years before people notice it, but they'll eventually.
Yeah. But let me tell you,
There's a lot there.
I kind of felt like Fall of Man number 1 is kind of in that vein too.
Cool.
No real big moments, but it was very fun. I really enjoyed the read. The idea of superheroes and kaiju monsters. There was this guy at church that he would sometimes recite the lyrics to hymns. And he goes, "Oh, I wish I'd have wrote that song. I wish I'd have wrote that." Right? This is a concept that I wish I would have had.
Nice.
Because it is fun. This is a great, fun book. Paul, just help us a little bit about kind of your journey into storytelling.
Yeah, well, I think I have a similar story to a lot of you, that I grew up reading a lot of comics, and then I walked away. The storytelling was terrible, and it was there was no payoff for investing in the characters because the constant reboots and everything. And so, I kind of walked away, had a family, got busy with life. And then during the pandemic, we were all home. And one day I turned to my wife and I said, I want to try writing. I want to see how this goes. I want to do something creative. And I kind of just jumped in with both feet. And this was the second series that I came up with. But I just got so excited about it. I just had to kind of run with it.
It had to be the one you worked on first. So what did your wife think when you said, "Hey, I think I want to write a comic book"?
She looked at me and said, "I've been waiting."
Oh, nice.
Okay.
We've known each other since we were 11 years old. So, she remembers when I used to collect comic books. She was there when I stopped, and so, but yeah, she just looked at me, just calm as possible. I've been waiting. So, She knew before me. And yeah,
That's
so
nice.
I started writing, and I had no idea what I was doing. I never even knew crowdfunding existed, actually, until I was driving one day and I saw people start dogpiling on Aaron Lopresti for putting out a book, and I was like, "What is this?" And then I found out he was making his own. I was like, "You can do that?"
Why would you dogpile on Aaron Lopresti of all people?
Yeah, dude. Leave
He-
Lopez alone, man. He's a
When
minority.
he did the first Wraith of God, people were like, attacking him for being a conservative or a Christian or whatever, and it just
Yeah.
like filled my Twitter feed. And I barely was following comics at all at that point. And I was like, "What is going on?" And then I just kind of opened my eyes to the crowdfunding world, and I was like, "This is exciting! Like this is like new stuff." And these books have, stakes and these different creative visions. This is something I want to be part of. So I bought Aaron Lopresti's book that day, and then I that's what planted the seed about writing the comic. And yeah,
And you fell down the rabbit hole with us.
I did.
So
Yeah.
my wife did not sign up for this comic book thing. When she met me, I was a musician. She had no idea about the comic books. I had purple hair, played guitar, sang in a band. And it wasn't until 2 weeks after we got back from our honeymoon that I grabbed my long boxes and bring them to our apartment. She sees that box and she goes, "What are those?" I said, "It's some of my collection." "Collection of what?" And I said, "Books." She goes, "What kind of books do you keep in those?" I said, "Comic books." She goes, "Wait, comic books?" She goes, "How many comic books are in there?" I said, "Well, this one box probably, I don't know, maybe 200. I don't know, maybe more. I don't know how many fits in a long box." And I said, "But so just this one, I don't know."
That was
She's like,
sneaky,
"Well."
man.
Yeah, and so I bring that box in, and then I bring in another box, and she's like, "Wait, you've got more than one?" I said, "Yeah." She goes, "Why would you need so many comic books?" I said, "Why wouldn't you need so many comic books? Like, of course you need this many comic books. Like that's." And so she made fun of me for a good while after the third and fourth long box came in, and she was like, "I can't believe I married a nerd. I did not think I married a nerd." And so yeah, long box 300 with bags and boards. Okay, so yeah, then yeah. I was close. I was like, yeah, 300. Yeah, so we had, what was that, 1,200 comic books in the house. And, I started, the geek started rolling out. And so then in time she realized that
You're a nerd.
that it was a part of me she was not getting rid of. And now, like, she tells her coworkers, "Oh yeah, my husband draws comic books for a living." And they're like, "That is so cool." And I'm like, people think that's cool now?
Yeah.
Maybe
I-
we're starting to turn this thing around, Randy,
Maybe.
where people think it's cool.
I had that happen. My daughter was somewhere, my oldest daughter, she's 13, and she told some of her friends that I write comic books, and they were like, "Oh, that's cool." And my first thought when she said that, I was like, "Why did you tell them? That's gonna affect you badly."
Yeah, they're going to make fun of you for this.
But yeah, they thought it was cool, and I thought that was really weird.
Yeah. No, I'm finding that people are, that the I guess the reputation or stigma around comic books and creators it's changing. People are starting to get that. In fact, my wife spoke with a guy yesterday that's a minister here, and somebody else's husband was a minister. It's like, "Oh yeah, you guys met and for lunch or whatever." And my wife goes, "Well, my husband used to be a minister, but he's a comic book artist now." And the other guy goes, "Man, I wish I could make that kind of transition." And I said, "Yeah, I know, I'm living the dream. Most people that have been in ministry full time do not want to be in ministry full time. Like that's what I find. Anyone that's been at the top, they're like, I don't want to do this anymore." And so yeah, this whole idea of creating comic books is so much fun. It's your love for comic books shows in your writing because it's just fun and whimsy. So what gave you the idea for superheroes and kaijus?
So, growing up, I was a huge fan of X-Men, right? So I like those big team books with superpowers. But I was watching, I was watching things like Godzilla, and it never matters when the people are there. Or, even I was thinking this too when I was watching like one of the original Transformer movies. You got these big, huge monsters, you got these big, huge robots, and the people really don't matter at the end of the day. They just kind of dodge the attacks, and they have some weird thing they do, but it never really matters in the end. And I started thinking, what would happen if like the people could actually do something, if they could actually change it? Like in the most recent King Kong versus Godzilla, King Kong had like 2 teenagers and a hacker on his team, and they mattered nothing in the whole story. Like, what if these people could actually do something and like fight back? And so I thought, how fun would it be to drop something like the X-Men in Godzilla's world? And this is what
is fun. That is fun.
I've never seen them come together, and I kind of thought, like, how come nobody's done this? And I searched for a long time before I started writing. I was like, there's got to be this out here, because I can't be the only one thinking this would be really cool.
Do you know what that reminds me of? That reminds me of Billy Madison when he does the picture of the duck and he makes it blue. And they go, "Why'd you make the duck blue?" "Because I've never seen a blue duck, and I thought it'd be cool to see a blue duck."
Yes, that's exactly it. I just thought how cool it would be. These guys, massive powers, massive monsters, and just a lot of action and a lot of escapism fun.
Yeah. So Tuesday night on NerdCap, we talked a lot about how to get started in making comics, because Whiskey is looking at making that leap. He's a very talented individual that makes 3D renderings and models for things like action figures and stuff. But he wants to make a comic book, and so he's like most people, you kind of get into that study aspect of, well, what do I do first, and how do I do it? And really, you come down to having that fun idea, right? But what did you do? Like, how did you find getting into making a comic book in indie comics to be as a newer creator?
Yeah, so I started writing the script, and I tried to shoot for something I thought was interesting, and I was following a lot of you guys and seeing these kind of longer comics. So the first comic I wrote was actually a completely different series that was about 50 pages. And then I had to try to find an artist, and I didn't know where to start. But I saw some cool art by a guy on Facebook, and I just sent him a message. I just thought I'd take a chance. No idea what was an appropriate page rate or anything like that. Just, hey, I really like your stuff. What can you do? And he was really nice, really, really nice guy. And he helped me with a lot of stuff. And then as he was kind of drawing some pages, one day I was, it's kind of fun? Lettering. I think I'm going to try that too. And so I kind of just jumped in. I barely had my...
So you're new to lettering?
So I've been doing it for about 2 years now. But when I first started...
You're actually a really good letterer.
Well,
that's the one thing that when I see a new book, I always blast the hardest.
Yeah.
It's because, art is very subjective, but lettering is not. Like, if a book is well lettered, it can ruin the entire aesthetic of the book. And you can objectively tell if a book has been lettered well or not. There are some artistic abilities to it, but there are a lot of people that think they're going to cut corners to save money. So did you do it to save money or because you wanted to try it?
No, I thought it was really, I don't know why, I found it fun. I found it really interesting. I have terrible handwriting, and I'm a terrible artist. So when all of a sudden I found like this new digital world open, I thought this would be really kind of interesting. And so I kind of just made a couple. The first artist I was working with on that other series, he did a couple pages, and I was like, I'm gonna just try to practice here. And I started lettering a little bit, and I did those pages over and over and over and over until I thought they were somewhat decent, which they weren't very good. But then I threw it out there, and I started offering people. I said, hey, I'll letter your books for free to get some practice. Thank you. Sorry. And I started lettering some books, and then I started working on other people's books, and then I finally got to letter my own book. And
great.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So,
Yeah, we were very competent with the lettering. I think I've actually talked to you. It's like, what's your page rate? I think I've got a few things I can throw you on. Yeah. So I really like, that was one of the things I was like, oh, I wonder who your letterist is. It's very competent lettering. I love your artist does a good job with perspectives and kind of these big, massive scenes.
Yeah. So like I said, the first book, it's still kind of in progress. It's one of those things I've been learning about the indie world is that we move at different speeds. So as I was trying to get this thing working, I had been working on that book for probably 9 months maybe, and it didn't really feel like it was getting the traction I wanted. So I actually wrote this second series, which is this one, and this was that kind of that idea that came to me, just how fun this could be. And I got so excited about it that I wrote the first issue, and I was like, I'm going to do this. And I reached out to a different one, again on Facebook, just a random person who's been spectacular, and I asked him to draw me a picture of a kaiju. And the first one he did was actually, if you go just a little bit, the first printing of issue 1, well, it's actually to the side, sorry, to the right there. Go down just a little bit. Right there, that one. That was the very first picture. I said, I want a 4-armed kaiju with a tail that splits into 3 and a tongue. And that's what he drew on his first try. And I thought, this is my guy for kaiju.
That's pretty good for first try on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And every time I
I like
say,
the
hey,
eyes. The
yeah.
beady eyes are very unnerving. I like it.
Yeah, and so anytime I come to him, I'm like, I want this kind of kaiju, and he just like bangs it out like first try. I mean, I very rarely have to be like, I don't really think this one works. And so I love it, and his scale is just awesome when he draws the kaiju with the people.
Is this Blake?
Ben.
No, Ben. Sorry.
Yep. But yeah, so I mean, it's just a huge monster there with the little guy there. It just gives you the idea of how big this is and what's facing him.
Yeah, such amazing scale in this image.
Yep.
A little bit of Geoff Darrow.
Yeah, dude. I like the scope and the.
Yeah.
Even though it's a 1-point perspective, dude, it's just like the buildings, the cars. Like,
It works.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the weight distribution of the kaiju, like, this is a heavy
So,
being. So
Here's the other
that's
thing I
really
like. It's the essence of detail without detail being in there.
cool.
Yeah.
Like there's enough of it to where you like I don't need a lot of cracks and detail over here in the corner, up here where the cursor's at. Everything, it draws you into this face, pulls you right in, especially with the red splash against the blue. It's a bit of color that just draws you right in. But
Well, he's
then
using that one
brings you
point
right down.
perspective to its advantage. Is he's got the entire drawing is pointed right at that, right at the
exactly.
kaiju's face.
All the lines converge in the
Yeah.
face. Yeah.
You don't think about the everything
Very well
else, it's
done.
just the kaiju's the main event,
Yeah, exactly.
which should be.
Not just that, but you see the destruction that he's already causing on the building nearby. The glass is shattering. The little patio railing glass they have there is breaking apart into pieces. It's just great touches.
just
and the
the
taxi
energy from
flying
his
through the air
presence.
is pretty
Yeah,
hot,
the car
too.
flying
Yeah.
also. Yeah.
And the palette too. If you're looking at the color palette too,
Yeah.
it's very samey. So this is quick and dirty, but like quick and dirty in a really good way, kind of like a gypsy band.
Yeah, quick and dirty, but knowing what you're doing. That's the thing.
I love the expression on the face here.
Yeah.
Be able to pull that off without going overboard with rendering and lines. It's very very competent artwork, which I mean really is all you can ask for, especially when it comes to sequentials. The art of sequential storytelling is it's something that Randy works to preserve, and I've kind of fallen in love with that as well. And so to be around him, Glenn, Russ, these kind of people that have been doing this forever, to have such a love and respect for it, it's created, it's almost like a mentorship in that aspect of wanting to see it celebrated the way it should be, because it's difficult to do this. And I'll ask you as a writer. Now I already know what the answer is because this is a stupid question. But what's more important, the writing or the art?
Well, I would have to say you need that good foundation of writing, but the writing is nothing without the art.
Right.
It's a comic book visual medium.
Yeah, I
really
think about
for
every.
office?
It's
I
funny,
think
I
so,
do
yeah.
teach politics for a living, so
Oh,
there's my
okay.
diplomatic answer.
Well,
Okay.
that
I
shows.
caught that. I caught that.
The real
I-
answer is both. Yeah.
Yeah, I go to the Trump School of Politics.
Yeah.
Like that's a stupid question.
Dude,
That's
you're
a
nasty
stupid
person.
question.
You're a nasty
I tell
person.
You can't. You're a nasty person. You can't have one without the other. By the way, how funny was it that he just owned
dude.
CNN town hall last night?
I
Holy
mean, were
cow!
you expecting any different?
No, I was not.
Yeah, dude.
Man, he owned that. And in light of the whole liability verdict too,
Yeah.
just like, yeah, like his answers were so pointed. And I'm like, well, I see why he's got a lot of people's nominations so far. He came back
And
a
the
little
thing's like
smarter.
they wanted to make it stick, like the whole like verdict, but it's so preposterous.
It is.
He just
It's
showed
preposterous.
shown the line of it, and everybody was laughing. But you're guilty, and the people were laughing.
Of course, they
You know,
found
just
him guilty in New York.
yeah,
Of course.
exactly.
You
Dude,
know,
it's
no
like,
one thought
wow.
any different was going to happen. But anyway, back to more important things.
Yeah, let's do it. Back to
Who,
comics.
who would win? Now, this little kaiju. Yeah, I think he could beat that little guy. I don't know about this big one though.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a team effort when you face the big ones. In the first issue that you saw, it took the whole team just to delay long enough for the other kaiju to show up.
It really did. Like, it took him a long time. I mean, that was a lot of intense action for most of the book. Which, well done. Good on you for
Yeah.
doing that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
One of the things you don't see in these first 3 pages is, these guys are in a post-apocalyptic wasteland. It's about 90 years after the fall of society, and these guys huddle in tribes, disparately spread across the wasteland. But they follow a guy who's telepathic powers, who can actually control the kaiju. So each tribe kind of huddles around a guy who can control a monster. So they have their own monster to fight the other monsters. So these guys, they went out there and fought, saved a bunch
So
of
it's like
people, but then
Pokemon,
they bring their own
too.
kaiju,
Okay.
and you get giant kaiju battles too. So,
Come on, guys. Why aren't you backing
little
this
AC
freaking
hole
book?
there.
I'm going to put the link in here again. If you haven't heard enough to
Can't
back
go
this
wrong
book
with
yet, I
giant
don't know what's wrong with
monsters.
you. All right, so you got superheroes. You've got giant monsters.
so-
You've got people that brain control the giant monsters, like Pokemon, to have giant monster battles. In a post-apocalyptic wasteland. This is a fun book, man. This is exactly why indie comics... No, I'm not going to say that. That's a stupid... Luke, that was stupid. You're an idiot. This is exactly why comics exist. Forget indie, forget
And,
mainstream, forget any of that. Qualifiers. This is why comics exist, is to tell fun stories. Like this, and to have some fun escapism. I love it, man.
And for those of you who like continuity, before I published the first book, I actually wrote the first arc of the story. So I had the first 6 issues done before I went to an artist, so that it's not just like I'm not just jumping from story to story, not knowing where I'm going. I've actually got the first 3 arcs planned out. I've written through issue 8, and I've got the first 6 like ready to go for an artist. As long as you guys keep wanting to read it and it keeps getting funded, I've got a plan of where it's going. So. And no retcons
Awesome, man.
or anything that makes fans mad. I'm not going to make
There you
the
go.
main character's love interest go in a secret portal for 4 years and marry someone else and have kids or anything.
All right, well, people are going to hate my books.
No talking in the hallways. And
I just kill
giant
people off.
kaijus.
That's all I do.
Well, and this book does have stakes because they're gonna age, and yeah, not everybody survives, and there's no bringing them back or anything. So, yeah.
Good stuff. Good stuff. So let's talk a little bit more about the nuts and bolts of entering into the comic industry for the first time. So it can be kind of overwhelming, I think, when you look at it and the whole process of where everything's at. How did you find the process of finding an artist? How'd that work out?
I think I got, like I said, I got kind of lucky. I reached out to that first artist, which again, the book isn't progressing right now. But he's been really helpful. We still have a really good, relationship where we're working together. He's really helped me out, point me in a lot of directions. And then the second attempt was Ben here. I reached out, and that's been fantastic. He is amazing. He has these great ideas to complement the writing. And when we really get going, he does 4 to 5 pages a week. So, I mean, and these books are only, 24 to 32 pages. So we can do this really fast. And yeah, if I have any concerns or anything I want changed, I just, hey, can you change this? He does it
Is
right
he your
away.
colorist too?
No, the guy that does the coloring is actually, he's out of England. His name's Jimmy. And he's really great too. Great colors, really quick.
Now, I know that I had issues finding colorists that I liked I still do to this day, because there's so many of them out there,
Yeah.
and they're all good, kind of in their own respect on what they can do and what they can accomplish. But Russ would like to know if it's Jimmy G.
It is Jimmy G. Yes. And actually, the way that I found him was I was watching a Bancroft stream with Rob Arnold, and they randomly pulled his stuff up, and they're like, "These are great colors," and I was like, "Those are great colors." And Rob Arnold's like, "Maybe we should reach out to him." And I was like typing the message to him while I was watching the show, and he responded in like 3 hours, and he's like, "I'd love to do it." So
Yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome.
And then actually, I will say though, the covers are done by somebody else, because I had a wraparound cover done by Elliot Rodriguez, and he's like, "Hey, I've got a colorist who's really quick and really good. Would you like me to reach out to him, see if he wants to color this piece?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure," you know. And so the covers were actually done by somebody else. Last time, the first book, Jimmy G did everything, but I tried out this. So I actually have two really great colorists that I can reach out to.
I find that certain artists, they start working with certain colorists.
Yes.
Like they just kind of run into that. Like I like to have this person color my work because they get my line work. I'm that way with Patrick and this other guy named Edgar, and I'm working with a couple other people that might start making into the rotation on some stuff. But especially when it comes to sequential stuff, I prefer one of those two guys because they kind of get it. So yeah, you'll run into that, but you do have that there's kind of this relationship that has to be existent between, especially the sequential pages, the art team, the creative team, writer, artist, color, letterer. That kind of has to exist. Now I want to ask, obviously, Whiskey's kind of learning some of this stuff and probably taking notes like crazy right now.
Of course.
But
if I can help in any way.
But four of us here have written and produced books, have books out here. Randy, obviously, quite a few more than the rest of us. Let's just talk on that for a minute, because I feel like that's kind of an important subject, is talking about the relationship between the creative team. And I think we've all had horror stories. Maybe you haven't, Paul. Maybe you haven't gotten there yet. But I know I have, and I'm sure Randy has. But during your experience, like during this, from all of our kind of individual point of view, what's been some of the best opportunity, or the, I guess the most important thing that we've learned about the creative team in building that bond, to do this stuff? What do you think? Paul, I'll start with you.
I think the level of respect and professionalism shown has been really eye-opening. And when I first got into this, I was really worried about like pointing things out and saying like, "Hey, I don't know if this scene works or this art or maybe this face, a little." It's really great to see how receptive people are and how well people are willing to take chances. So that's been kind of eye-opening for me. You're right. I haven't really had any too bad a horror story. On the writing end, I do freelance writing for people, and I've had some clients who have been difficult to work with. But that's a little different. But in the comic world, I haven't had too many horror stories to really say.
Oh, you're so lucky.
Yeah, the worst I had was somebody drew a page for me that I didn't love, and that was the end of it. I paid the guy, said thanks, and that was the end of it. That was the worst I had. So far, now that happened, we'll see where it goes. I feel like I have to draw something on myself. But
Pardon, guys, I'm sorry. Pedro, how about you, man? You do have to unmute in order for us to be able to hear you. So you need to understand how the microphone works.
Yeah, creatively wise, I don't know, man. Like I'm a one-man band. So right, what I have right now is an editor, and we've developed a relationship that I don't know, man. It's just I listen, and that's the key point in working with teams. Listen, because even if you don't agree, at least have the decency and the show respect to listen to people's ideas and debate them. But the moment you go like directly rejecting, the lines of communication are broken, other things are gonna come into the relationship, and it's not gonna be a work relationship anymore. Is you hurt me or something? You know what I mean? So I think listening is an intrinsic part of everything. Even like I communicate more with clients, more so doing animation. And dude, that's a rule I go by. Listen to your client or listen to your associates, and it's been good so far, man.
All right. Hey, Randy. Now I'm
Yeah.
saving you for last
Yeah.
because
Okay.
the professor shall speak.
Well, it all depends upon the relationship, who's created what, who's doing what, who's running. You know, sometimes you have to run Stagecoach, and sometimes it's like Pedro. If you've got a client you're dealing with, you really have to check your ego and deal to the whims of the client in order to make them happy and get that money. But when you're working in independent comics, it's really almost like a marriage where you have to get along and get things, straightened out. I'm very much again like Pedro. I like being a one-man band as much as possible, but there comes time where you just have to delegate jobs out to people, and even then, I enjoy being in charge of the stuff that I create. And if I'm working for somebody else, then I enjoy the money.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know,
I do like that part a lot as well.
yeah.
Yeah, I enjoy
But
that part.
that's just the way that you have to work. And with this art form, it is the more people you bring in, the more of a communication that you have to have, and the more people you bring in, really, the more your ego has to be checked for the betterment of the work.
So what I'm hearing so far from all three is communication and respect.
Always the key, yeah, on both.
Communication and respect.
Yep.
See, I'm a little different than you guys, both Pedro and Randy, in the sense that I can be a one-man band, but I don't want to be a one-man band. I like the collaborative effort. I played in bands most of my life, so it's one thing to sit down in a studio setting and to record all the parts and just to riff off of myself. But man, it's something else for me to sit in a practice space with three other guys and
Sure.
and riff off of each other.
Yep.
And I find that I can do the same thing with the creative process as well. I can riff off of people. And I don't undervalue the editor either. You've got to have a good editor. If you think, if you have a contentious relationship with your editor, it's not going to work. Like you have to have someone that you think, that you believe wants your story to be the best and that likes your characters.
On the other hand, that's also why you see so much nepotism in this business. It's because the editors get to choose the people that they work under, and they're people that they know that they can work with. And that the key there, especially in the larger companies, is working with them on a regular schedule and making sure everything comes in on time and is done to the best of their abilities.
Well, let's talk about that for a second, folks. Let's we have, and I think this is why, the AI is so appealing to people, because they know they can trust a robot, or they think they can anyway, without having to, relinquish any kind of creative power to anybody. But
something I learned yesterday watching too much YouTube is that your AI program is only as good as the ethics and morals of the person who programmed it.
Yeah.
And that's something that really needs to be considered as AI becomes more of a thing and becomes more prominent in our society, is the standards, the ethics, the common sense being inputted into that programming has to come from a human in order for it to be compatible, or you're going to end up with a Skynet.
I mean, we had the clear example just a couple of minutes ago when Luke asked the chat TGPT LGBTQ LMNPQ thing why Pedro didn't have a girlfriend, and he got defensive right away.
Yeah,
that was programmed by a nerd that's never been kissed.
Yeah. Why Pedro no girlfriend?
Yeah.
Why Pedro have no girlfriend?
Yeah, exactly. And he went directly, like, you shouldn't talk like that. Like, it was like, this is a
programmed by
guy
someone
crying.
who wants to virtue signal. Yeah.
Immediately got. How dare you? How
Yeah.
dare you shame him? I'm not shaming him. I just want to know why.
I don't know
Does
why.
he need game?
Yeah.
Teach Pedro game.
Teach Pedro game. And that's the thing. Like,
He need
I
hot
wouldn't
lines
take
to
it-
spit to hotties.
Yeah, I wouldn't take it
Computer
personal.
dictating ethics to you is just
Yeah,
phenomenally
exactly.
strange.
That was rich.
Yeah, a website
go-
telling me that
Going
my
back
ethics
to the
are wrong.
previous topic there a little bit about creative thing, like because I design games. I've been in the hiring and working with people for a while now for game design for the stuff that we're working on. And like for example, I have a writer that's just absolutely brilliant, right? He works very cheaply, but he also he wants to be involved in the project, and he loves the world that he's creating. It's like his world is part of as well as mine now, right? So it's all about, I guess, finding the right people that click, right?
Yeah.
And if you can find that person, then the project is gonna do something, hopefully.
Yeah. Well, Randy, you mentioned something about nepotism. I don't know that it's all nepotism in some places, but there's definitely cliques that take place. And we saw this. I even saw this back in the 90s, early 2000s when I was first starting to get involved with some of this stuff that that we tend to run in the same circles. People are like, oh, well, that group's hard to get involved in unless you know someone. They don't let people in. They don't. That publisher doesn't bring on new books unless you know them. You've got to make friends with them. Like I was told, go to conventions, make friends with these people. That's the way to get in. That you could be extremely talented and have the best product, but if you didn't get along with these people and they didn't like you, they weren't going to let you in. That you had to be very personable with these people, and I think so. I've been doing this now since pretty solid since 2014, 2015. And which is, I guess, a long time for someone working in the indie sphere. But what I've learned in that time frame is that you can't trust everybody. That some people, like, they're just notoriously difficult to work with, or they can't put aside ego for the betterment of a project.
Right.
And
Or they're
so you
running
do
a
have
grift. Yeah.
Or they're running a grift. So you do have a tendency to start to work with people that you trust, that are loyal, that you respect, that do good work, and you stick to them. Like we mentioned, artists sometimes, well, I like the way this colorist does my stuff, so I stick to these colorists. And so if you hire an artist for your book, then you might also get, that colorist on board. Let's talk to that for a second, guys. Do you think that that's something that will ever change? Or do you think it's going to get worse now that people can cut more people out and start giving some of the jobs over to AI?
I don't know. In my experience dealing with people that on the I've had positive experience like with my writer in the game design stuff, but I've also had the negative experience of people walking away with money. Ooh. And I'm kind of thinking like AI, like there are a lot of people have also had that experience, right? Sometimes you're dealing with people in different countries across the world. Eventually, that's reputation of humans is going to take a back seat to the fact that this AI is free. I'm not going to get screwed over. It's in-house. Whatever I do, it's going to inspire a lot of people to be like to remove the human option due to risk factor, and then do it their own, or do it themselves, or have the AI do it and then edit it later or prompt it until they get it correct, I guess.
Dead silence. Anyway, it's all on how you use it as the tool. If I was an editor at a comic company, I caught some writer using AI, they'd be off on their ass. Mm-hmm. If I caught an artist who was using AI in order to get their composition right, and then they were going through and redrawing it over into their style and it looked natural, I wouldn't have a problem with it.
Yeah.
We're in an art form. An art form means when you're talking art, you're talking humanity.
Yeah.
And you have to have that personal touch, especially in the alternative and independent market, where it's the easiest, most direct form of communication that you can have. I mean, visually and prose wise, it's the perfect combination. It's doing comics. That's why
Yeah,
everybody
I
wants
agree.
to do comics,
It was
and you have to make that personal.
Dean James said, if you take the best writer in the world and you take the best artist in the world, you put them into a room, you tell them to create something masterful, what they will make is a comic book.
Yes.
That's what they will do. They will produce a comic book for you.
Yep.
And
Or some form of sequential art.
yeah,
Sequential storytelling.
yeah. And so, there needs to be a lot of respect for this. What I see is that, people are becoming more and more disrespectful in our entire society. And that's running over into our creative teams, I think, in comic books.
I think we're seeing it a lot in this business, especially from the so-called writers. Yeah.
Yes, yes. And, it's why you get a lot of corporations when they start thinking only about the almighty dollar. And we've talked about the comic book business a lot today, and especially with, IDW with that interview. And at some point we do have to talk about the act of trying to make money with this if we're going to do it long term. But to be quite fair, a lot of when you get strictly business, you stop thinking about the creative aspect and you try to find any way to cut down that staff as low as you can. And so a lot of people are going to AI to produce their instead of a marketing person, they have AI do their marketing. AI does a competent job of marketing, writing ad copy. They really do.
Yeah.
Because it's not a narrative. Now, before we leave, we're getting ready to close down because we're going to start
And
closing the stream down at 2 hours.
There's not a lot of level of creativity as much what you would get in writing a fictional story or a novel or something like that when you're writing ad copy.
Yeah.
You don't really have to be that funny.
Yeah. So menial jobs.
As you've seen, the chat GBT doesn't have a sense of humor.
No sense of humor whatsoever.
At all.
We're going to see if it can actually create a narrative before we leave. While we were talking, I typed in a prompt for it to write me a Spider-Man story. And so we're going to see if it can write a plot for a Spider-Man comic with any kind of competency. It took all of about 10 seconds for it to spit something out. So let's see if it is on par with our Marvel story writers. But that's how we'll close out the show today.
That's a low bar.
Before we do that, yeah, that's a low bar. But before we do that, we've been sitting here at 25 backers. Folks, I want to let you know something. Right now, we do have a fully functioning cart, and there is a code. What is the code? Say buy to save.
Yeah.
BYU number 2 SAVE. So buy. Let me look at my to save. Use this coupon code. I think that's the code for yours.
Yep.
There's going to be a day when I am not able to remember everyone's coupon codes. Today is not that day.
Soon.
Yeah, hopefully that day is soon. We have a now fully functioning shopping cart, so you can actually choose your rewards, and so you can go ahead and grab any variation of what Paul has available on this campaign and add it to the cart. And once it's in the cart, you can type in the coupon code. Well, I have to actually add something to the cart for it to show it. Hold on, let me just add a couple of things. I'm just gonna, and it's got to be things with shipping. So here we go. I just added a few things to the cart. Don't get too excited, Paul. I'm not buying it this time.
No, I wouldn't want you to.
I'm a fan, so I'm on there quite a bit. So you type in buy to save, and it's going to take off a number of dollars. So you're saving $8 on the combined shipping for this.
Yeah. Anything that has the add-on in parentheses, if you put that code in, it'll take $4 off for shipping, so that it goes with it. So that's kind of my way of trying to bundle and save you on shipping.
Yeah. Cool. So this add-on and this add-on both got the discount taken off of there, and so I'm paying $16 minus all that, and so yeah, The shopping cart is working. Everything is functioning. We have ironed out all the little wrinkles, and it is good to go. So go over there, use the shopping cart, back this project. What did I say we were at? 24?
25.
25? We're at 25 backers. I would like to put a little
Bacon.
bacon on this. I'd rather wrap a little bacon around this. And I would like to be able to flip Paul the Bird today, guys. So let's go over there and back his project. I'm going to throw in his link one more time. So back this project so we can flip Paul the Bird. Okay? In the meantime, the next couple of minutes while we're waiting to see if we can pop in another backer. So we need to get 26 backers here, guys. Come on. Hook us up. Hook us up. Chat GPT has given us a Spider-Man story. Are you ready for this? Let's see. Let's see how it does. I asked, can you write me a Spider-Man story? He said, sure. Here's a Spider-Man story for you. Spider-Man and the Bank Heist. It was a beautiful day in New York City, and Peter Parker, aka Spider-Man, was enjoying a well-deserved day off from his superhero duties. He was walking through the city, taking in the sights and sounds, when he noticed a group of people gathered outside of a bank. As he got closer, he saw that there were several masked robbers inside the bank holding the employees and customers hostage. Without hesitation, Spider-Man sprang into action. He swung up to the roof of the bank and peered inside a skylight to assess the situation. The robbers were armed and dangerous, but Spider-Man knew he had to act fast to save the hostages. He decided to create a diversion to distract the robbers, so he shot a web into the nearby building and pulled himself up onto the roof. From there, he launched a barrage of webs at the robbers, causing them to panic and scatter. With the robbers temporarily distracted, Spider-Man leaped down into the bank, quickly freeing the hostages and apprehending the robbers. However, as he was about to exit the bank, he noticed a strange device that one of the robbers had dropped on the ground. Curious, Spider-Man picked up the device and examined it closely. It was a high-tech gadget. Ooh, that's pretty exciting. It was a high-tech gadget that appeared to be some kind of teleportation device. Realizing that the robbers were planning on something much bigger than just a bank heist, Spider-Man knew he had to act quickly to stop them. He swung back into his apartment, put on his Spider-Man suit, and returned to the bank, where he used the device to teleport himself to the robbers' secret hideout. There, he found the robbers preparing to use the device to rob the city's biggest bank. With his spider sense tingling, Spider-Man sprang into action, taking down the robbers one by one and foiling their evil plan. As the police arrived to take the robbers into custody, Spider-Man swung away, content in the knowledge that he had once again saved the day. From that day on, Spider-Man knew that he couldn't let his guard down, even on his days off. He remained vigilant, always ready to leap into action and protect the people of New York City from the forces of evil. The end. That actually wasn't that bad.
That sounds like one of those. I don't know if you guys ever done it, like the little kid books, like the learn to read stories that they do.
Yeah.
Like it was really simple and written for like that level.
Yeah, dude. It sounds like something you might find in the back of a cereal.
Yeah.
A cereal box, but I actually enjoyed it. This is better than that.
No, one of those 2-page prose segments you'd see in the middle of comics.
Yeah.
It's about at that level. Yeah.
What I can
It's about
say
at that level.
Now tell it
is
to make
that
Spider-Man jokes.
the more that you prompt it, the more that it spits out different results, right? You could tell the same story and prompt it to be like, write that in a Dickens style with a plot from whoever. Then it will take that into consideration, and then you can prompt it all day to spit out a somewhat halfway decent result if you really wanted to.
So
I mean,
and also that's a single issue story at best that they sped out there.
Yeah.
You know, if it was say Brian Bendis writing it, he'd have stretched that out over 6 issues.
Yeah.
that
Yeah,
entire
he would have.
story.
He'd have added some more subplot into there.
It
and
would
all
have
that
been,
kind of
yeah.
stuff.
Well, you can too. You can be like, add some zombies, make the robbers zombies, make one a
Yeah.
necromancer, make one
Yeah.
a wizard with an extra arm. You just add some crap in there, and then suddenly you have a slightly
Then-
more complex story.
Yeah, and there would be like flashback.
But that would take creativity.
Right.
Yeah, that true.
But Russ makes a great point. He says, note how ChatGPT is doing a bank robbery story and out a multiversal slice of life mess.
Yeah.
It's writing an interesting. This throws back to the days of old when you would pick up a comic book from the newsstand and read an adventure that got you excited about this character.
Well,
Right? This is-
almost. There'd have been a supervillain thrown in there somewhere,
There
Yeah, I
would
mean,
have
at
been,
or
right?
two or three.
Yeah, at least ChatGPT is trying to give you what you want,
Yeah.
as opposed
Right,
to
right.
other Marvel writers.
So if you would have said, "Hey, include a supervillain," it probably would have done that too, right?
Yeah, probably.
So the
Could tell
point
what the line
is,
was.
this did the opposite of what I was hoping it to do. I was hoping it not to write a good narrative, and what it did, it actually wrote a very competent plot for an outline for a comic book.
it's a
that is-
decent framework. Yeah.
Yeah,
that
it's a
you can
decent
build off of,
framework to build off of, and I am not advocating that writers out there use ChatGPT to write their plots and their frameworks. But if you happen to work for Marvel or DC, maybe you should.
Yeah, this is a slippery slope.
Again,
man.
that's a single issue story, though. You would have to
Yeah.
decompress that down to 6 issues.
Yeah,
And I don't want to see flashbacks to like the robbers, like sons and daughters. Like, why am I robbing this bank? And there's like a whole issue of a flashback. I have to get some medicine or whatever. I don't know, man. It's just
guys, I really
Well,
would
that-
like to.
The whole
Entertainment
opening
background,
scene, he's running without his costume until he gets back to
His apartment.
or wherever.
Yeah.
So that could have been if it was Stan Lee, there'd be a major soap opera hook there. Of how he
Yeah.
disguises himself and maybe has to wear a bag over his head or something.
yeah, I'm gonna disappoint Mary Jane again.
Find a
How he has to, it has to be very
Find it.
like stealthy.
find a tie
maybe
to
he
cut a
gets his-
couple of holes in for a mask. Yeah.
Yeah, or maybe maybe he gets his dress clothes dirty, or the flowers he's taken to Mary Jane get messed up or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, nobody even considers the henchman. Yeah, like we could either. So yeah, that's a decent basic frame. Where look, we've got a room full of writers right now, and we're all like, oh, and you could do this and you could do that,
Yeah.
and oh, next thing you know, you've got a 4 to 6 series arc of
Yeah.
a pretty decent storyline
Yep.
that ends with this time travel device being created by a supervillain like Doc Ock to rob banks so that he can fund his experiments or something.
I don't know. I like AIM because nobody respects AIM.
Oh, AIM is a
MODOK.
okay.
Yeah.
MODOK.
Nobody respects
Advanced
MODOK
Idea
anymore. Anyway.
Mechanics.
Nobody will ever respect MODOK again, actually.
Ever.
That's a whole nother story. Yeah.
Guys, that has been so yeah, we are this is the first week we are sticking to the 2 hour framework. We are not going to be doing these long streams, these 3-hour streams anymore on Thursday mornings because we have way too much work to get done.
all
There are
have a
way
life.
too many worlds to build,
Yep.
way too much art to get done, way too many stories to write. And so we have to start closing it down early. I do apologize to those that really enjoy the 3-hour block, but trust me, you'll like it even better with the stuff that we're putting out there. We just have way too much to get done in order to be able to do this on Thursday mornings the way we have been. And we'd like to condense that time a little bit, move on through the topics a little quicker. Thank you guys so much for being here. I want to thank all of the chat and everybody for being a part of today's stream. I want to thank, again, my panelists, Randy, Whiskey, and Pedro for being here. You guys are a staple here, and you're amazing. The show would not be what it is without you. And I want to thank Paul from AGE Comics being here talking about his project today. Please don't forget to go check that out. We didn't get to flip the bird today, but hopefully we'll be able to get to do that for him soon. He is continuing to fund over on Fun My Comic. Book 2 is exclusive there, folks. There's a lot of really cool stuff happening over at Fun My Comic. In fact, next Friday we launch The Little Mermaid, which is it's an Arrow 3G property we're very excited about.
Yep. More coming.
Yep, and we've got The Fool on Fun My Comic that still needs a little bit of love. And we've got Marv over there with Sin Killer that still needs a little bit of love. Please check those out. There's a lot of great projects on that website. We are starting to become part of the conversation, folks.
Yep.
People are starting to talk about Fund My Comic as a viable option. And we're very excited about that. And we're going to continue to make upgrades to the front end and the back end of the house so that we have a better site for you guys. But it all comes down to you getting in to the site and using it and letting us know what it is that you would like to see. We listen, guys. Todd and I might own the website, but you guys are the movement, and this is your home. So we've built it for you. I've built this for you. So thanks again for being here today, guys. Don't forget to check out aerocomics.store.
Yep.
Don't forget to check out Whiskey with Bayonet and Ricochet if you guys need any 3D modeling done.
Yep.
Make sure to hit him up. Yep.
You can find us on Twitter.
You can find him on Twitter over there. Yes, Paragon. Make sure to go by aerocomics.store and pick up those. You can get them in PDF or you can get them in physical copy issues. Go ahead and pick those up. They are shipping out right away, guys. Shipping out right away if they're on the store they're going. If you need animation services done, Pedro's your guy. He is the dude to do it. He does many of the trailers that you see throughout social media in indie comics. He is a beast of a man who takes care of those things and does very, very good work. So be sure to check out Pedro and check out Pedro's channel.
On that note, I know I advertise. I'm coming up with animation tutorial videos.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not putting it on hold. I'm just revising the scripts because now that I'm listening to myself, my English is not good. So I'm doing the scripts better so it could be like as clear as possible. And I just want to do like a roster of animators so we can make better work animation wise. And guys, the sky's the limit. Be on the lookout. Subscribe to Pedro Ang's YouTube. Look at that like that, Pedro Ang, and be ready. Like the videos are gonna be up anytime now. I already have 4 ready that goes from interface, which is the software I'm using. But you can follow the classes with the software of your predilection. Like that's not really. And the 3 first classes, which will cover 4 of the animation principles, which is squash and stretch, follow through, overlapping action, and weight distribution. So
weight distribution.
Yeah, very, very.
That's what we try to do with our bodies right now.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Check out Pedro. Pedro, you need to make a trailer for us to play. Check out Randy Friday morning.
In the middle of the night or early Friday morning, depending upon where you are in the world, a group of experienced comics professionals get together to examine and instruct about the art form that they love. That's great comic artwork on Comics by Night, Fridays at 5 a.m. Eastern, here on the Indie Comics Network, indiecomicsnetwork.com.
What was that? This is not a charade.
It's never a charade.
Never a charade.
I'm telling you, that trailer is just screams Randy Zimmerman. That's like
that's everything about Comics by Night. This week, tomorrow morning, we're going to continue our look at The Watchmen. We're up to issue 2.
It's a lot of fun, everybody.
And that's a lot to cover. Whiskey might be there. Russ and Glenn will be there. Whiskey will probably be there.
I'll be there.
Don't forget to check us out on Tuesday night.
Maybe Scott Rosema. Maybe Brian Germain. Yeah.
Yeah. We're still holding out for Scott to be there.
Sunday morning, I also do the Sunday Funnies, where we talk about the fun things about this business and what we love that keeps us inspired to stay in the business that we're in. So it's Sunday Funnies at 9 a.m. over on the Indie Comics Network. You can see me later tonight, too. I'll be over at Andrew Mecca Davis's YouTube channel talking to him.
Yeah, going to have a nice interview over there.
Yep,
don't forget to check us out on Tuesday nights on Nerdcap. Here's a little trailer for that. Guys, it's been a great show. Thank you guys for being here again. Thank you, chat, for being involved. You guys make this thing what it is. You are the best chat that I can think of. I love you. You have a deep place in my heart. I appreciate you very much. We're going to get back to work, and remember, let's try to build up more than we tear down. Leave the wood pile higher than we found it. And Pedro, you want the honors this week?
Let's be careful out there.
Let's be careful out there. Let's be careful out there. We had a 187 at the 7-Eleven on the corner of 4th and Main. Two Caucasians of the male persuasion put a bullet through the cashier's brain. Moving on, I see a 211, half a dozen 459, 2 AEWs, a DTA, and several miscellaneous crimes.